Imagine a world where wealth buys power, privilege buys silence, and one wrong move can flip the script entirely. At Sterling Academy, a private school dripping with opulence, reserved for the rich, the connected, and those deemed worthy by its unspoken caste system, something explosive was about to unfold. What happens when the most feared bully in school picks a fight with the wrong girl? Not just any girl, but a black girl who's been quietly biding her time, waiting for the moment to strike back. Spoiler, it's not just a shove that goes down, it's a reckoning. The polished marble halls of Sterling Academy were alive with their usual hum that Monday morning, the air thick with designer cologne and the weight of old money. Every student knew their place in the pecking order, and at the top stood Lucas Harrington, 6 feet 2 inches, blonde, broad-shouldered, and built like he'd been sculpted for the football field. He wasn't just a jock, he was a legacy, his family's name etched into the school's donor plaques. With money, charm, and a vicious streak, Lucas ruled Sterling like a king. His arrogance matched only by his knack for making anyone who crossed him feel small. Most kids avoided his gaze, scurried out of his way, or laughed at his cruel jokes just to stay on his good side. Today, though, his sights were set on someone new. Nia Brooks rounded the corner, her sneakers squeaking faintly against the floor. She wasn't thinking about Lucas or his reign of terror. Her mind was on AP Calculus, a quiz looming in 5 minutes, and the fact that she'd stayed up half the night cramming formulas. She adjusted her backpack, her braids swinging slightly as she moved, determined to make it to class without distraction. But the universe had other plans. There, smack in the middle of the hallway, stood Lucas, flanked by his usual posse, Jake, Cole, and Dylan, his personal enforcers who followed him like shadows. He leaned against the lockers, arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips as he sized her up. Nia felt it before he even spoke, the electric buzz of trouble. Well, Lucas drawled, his voice cutting through the chatter like a blade. What do we have here? Did someone get lost on their way to the scholarship office? His tone dripped with mockery, his blue eyes glinting with malice. A few students slowed their steps. Others stopped outright, forming a loose circle around the scene. No one said a word. Sterling's golden rule was clear. When Lucas Harrington picked a target, you watched, you waited, but you didn't intervene. Nia's grip tightened on her backpack strap. She'd heard his jabs before, snide comments about her clothes, her background, the fact that she wasn't one of them. For months, she'd brushed it off, kept her head down, focused on her grades and her ticket out of this gilded cage. But today, something simmered beneath her skin, a spark she couldn't quite name. She exhaled sharply. Move, Lucas. I don't have time for your nonsense. The words came out clipped, firm, and they hung in the air like a dare. His smirk widened, a predator scenting defiance. Oh, you think you can talk to me like that, Brooks? He stepped closer, towering over her, his presence suffocating. You don't belong here. This school's not for. He didn't finish. His hands shot out, shoving her hard, a clear message, know your place. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones emerged from pockets. This wasn't just bullying now, it was theater. Nia barely stumbled, her balance unshaken. She tilted her head, locking eyes with him, her gaze steady and unyielding. You really don't want to do this, she said, her voice low, too calm for the storm brewing inside her. Lucas laughed, a harsh bark that echoed off the lockers. What, you gonna cry to the principal? Go ahead, princess, this isn't your kingdom. He shoved her again harder, daring her to break. The crowd tensed, breath held, waiting for her to crumble. But Nia didn't crumble. She dropped her backpack with a heavy thud, the sound cutting through the silence like a gunshot. Before Lucas could react, bam, she moved. In one fluid motion, she grabbed his arm, twisted her body, and flipped him over her shoulder with a force that belied her slim frame. He hit the floor hard, a sickening crack reverberating through the hall as his pride shattered alongside his landing. For the first time in years, Lucas Harrington wasn't the untouchable tyrant of Sterling. He was a heap on the ground, staring at the ceiling, stunned. Silence gripped the hallway, thick and heavy. Then, holy crap, someone yelped. Laughter broke out, sharp and wild, followed by claps, then cheers that swelled into a roar. Nia adjusted her backpack, stepping over him like he was nothing more than a discarded wrapper. Told you, she said, her tone as casual as if she just aced a math problem. The crowd erupted, high fives flew. Phones recorded every angle and someone shouted, "World star." Lucas groaned, rolling onto his side, his face a blazing shade of red. His fists clenched in fury. This wasn't over, not by a mile. By lunchtime, Sterling Academy was a different place. The video of Nia flipping Lucas had gone viral, racing through group chats and spilling onto social media. She straight up wrecked him. Did you see his face? She's a ninja, bro. Kids who'd never spoken to Nia before were suddenly her biggest fans, crowding her table, asking where she'd learned to fight, if she'd spar with them. Overnight, she'd gone from a quiet scholarship kid to a legend. But legends come with enemies, and Lucas wasn't just humiliated, he was seething. He'd spent years building his throne, making sure everyone feared his name. Now he was a joke, a meme captioned "Rich Boy Owned." Revenge wasn't optional. It was inevitable. The next morning, Sterling was electric with gossip. The video had blown up beyond the school, hitting Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter with the title, "Elite School Bully Destroyed by Black Girl." Nia couldn't walk 5 feet without a high five or whispered, "You're insane." Maybe if she hadn't been so caught up in the attention, she'd have noticed the shift, the way conversations hushed when she passed, the wary glances, the way Lucas and his crew sat across the quad, silent, watching her like wolves circling prey. But she didn't. So when her phone buzzed at lunch with a text from an unknown number, "Jim. After school. No cameras. We settle this," she didn't hesitate. Of course it was Lucas. Of course he wanted a rematch. She wasn't scared. She should have been. Sterling's gym was a monument to excess, vaulted ceilings, polished hardwood, banners touting decades of victories. At 4:15 p.m., it was deserted, the silence amplifying every sound. Nia stepped inside, her sneakers barely whispering against the floor. The door slammed shut behind her, a trap springing closed. "Big mistake showing up, Brooks," Lucas's voice boomed, cold and venomous. She turned. He wasn't alone. Behind him stood Jake, Cole, and Dylan, his loyal dogs, big, dumb, and ready to fight. 4-1. Nia sighed, crossing her arms. "Really? 4 of you? Guess I should be flattered you're this scared of me." Lucas's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing into slits. "Shut your mouth," he snarled, stalking closer. "This isn't about fear. It's about respect." Nia smirked faintly. "You mean revenge?" His lips curled into a vicious grin. "No. It's about putting you back where you belong." Her stomach twisted, not from fear, but from the weight of those words, ones she'd heard too many times from people like him, who thought Sterling was their birthright and she was an outsider trespassing. She pushed it down, breathing deep. "Stay focused." Lucas swung first, a wild, furious punch fueled by rage, not skill. Nia dodged effortlessly, stepping aside like it was nothing. Jake lunged next. She dropped low, swept his legs, and he crashed down with a grunt. Cole tried to grab her from behind, huge mistake. She drove an elbow into his ribs, crack, and he stumbled back, gasping. Dylan hesitated, eyes wide. She didn't. A spinning kick to his chest sent him sprawling. 3 down. Lucas was all that remained, his face a mask of pure, unfiltered fury. He charged, fists flying in a desperate flurry, sloppy, frantic, weak. Nia danced around every blow, then struck. Bam, a sharp kick to his gut. He staggered, wheezing. She grabbed his collar, yanked him forward, and slammed him to the floor, pinning him there. "Don't ever touch me again," she growled, her voice a quiet, deadly promise. The gym fell silent, save for the groans of Lucas and his crew sprawled in defeat. By morning, Sterling Academy had a new ruler. Lucas's reign was ashes, no one feared him anymore. They feared Nia. Whispers trailed her, not of scorn but of reverence. What happens if you mess with her? Lucas learned the hard way. Some people don't just fight back. They rewrite the rules.